వాళ్ళందరూ ఉన్నారా? అందరూ ఆఫ్ చేసి పెట్టుకోరు కదా. ఇది ఎవరిది మరి? వాళ్ళందరూ ఉన్నారా? అందరూ ఆఫ్ చేసి పెట్టుకోరు కదా. ఇది ఎవరిది మరి? అట్లనే ఉండి స్నానం చేసి వస్తాం. వాళ్ళందరూ ఉన్నారా? అందరూ ఆఫ్ చేసి పెట్టుకోరు కదా. అట్లనే ఉండి స్నానం చేసి వస్తాం. వాళ్ళందరూ ఉన్నారా? అందరూ ఆఫ్ చేసి పెట్టుకోరు కదా. అట్లనే ఉండి స్నానం చేసి వస్తాం. అందరూ ఆఫ్ చేసి పెట్టుకోరు కదా. అట్లనే ఉండి స్నానం చేసి వస్తాం. అట్లనే ఉండి స్నానం చేసి వస్తాం. అట్లనే ఉండి స్నానం చేసి వస్తాం.
స్టార్ట్ చేద్దాం.
సార్ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్ హనుమంతరావు సార్.
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్
సార్ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్ హనుమంతరావు సార్.
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్
వెరీ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్. వెరీ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్. సార్ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్ హనుమంతరావు సార్. నమస్కారం సార్. వెరీ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్. వెరీ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్. సార్ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్ హనుమంతరావు సార్. నమస్తే సార్.
సార్ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్. సార్ మీది ఆడిబుల్ లేదు సార్.
స్లో వాయిస్ స్లో ఉంది.
నమస్కారం సార్. వెరీ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్. వెరీ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్. సార్ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్ హనుమంతరావు సార్.
సార్ స్టార్ట్ చేద్దామా సార్?
ఇప్పుడు వినిపిస్తుందా?
అంటే క్లారిటీ లేదు సార్, క్లియర్ గా లేదు సార్. సార్ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్.
నేను నెట్ వేరే దగ్గరకు వస్తున్నా.
సార్ మీది ఆడిబుల్ లేదు సార్.
ఓకే సార్.
ఇప్పుడు ఓకే సార్. ఇప్పుడు ఓకే సార్.
ఇప్పుడు
క్లియర్ గా ఉంది సార్.
ఏమంటారు?
క్లియర్ గా ఉంది సార్.
ఇప్పుడు
వినిపిస్తుంది సార్. సార్ స్టార్ట్ చేద్దామా సార్?
ఇప్పుడు వినిపిస్తుందా?
అంటే క్లారిటీ లేదు, క్లియర్ గా లేదు సార్. గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్. అందరిని మ్యూట్ చేసుకోమని చెప్పు పార్టిసిపెంట్స్ అందరిని.
మ్యూట్ చేశాను మేడం.
సార్ మీరు స్టార్ట్
ఓకే సార్.
మీరు
ఇప్పుడు ఓకే సార్.
ఇప్పుడు
ఓకే సార్.
ఆడబుల్ అండ్ విజబుల్. ఇప్పుడు
విజిబుల్ ఉంది సార్. క్లియర్ గా ఉంది సార్.
ఏమంటారు?
క్లియర్ గా ఉంది సార్.
ఇప్పుడు
ఇప్పుడు వినిపిస్తుంది సార్. సార్ స్టార్ట్ చేద్దామా సార్?
ఇప్పుడు వినిపిస్తుందా? ఏమా
హలో గిరి, క్లియర్ గా లేదు సార్. స్టార్ట్ చేద్దామా సార్? అందరిని మ్యూట్ చేసుకోమని చెప్పు పార్టిసిపెంట్స్ అందరిని. సార్ స్టార్ట్ చేసేద్దామా? విజిబిలిటీ కూడా క్లియర్ లేదు సార్.
ఇప్పుడు మీ
ఓకే సార్.
ఇప్పుడు
విజిబిలిటీ సార్ క్లియర్ లేదు సార్. విజిబిలిటీ కూడా క్లియర్ లేదు సార్. ఇప్పుడు వినిపిస్తుంది సార్. సార్ స్టార్ట్ చేద్దామా సార్?
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్.
హలో గిరి, క్లియర్ గా లేదు. స్టార్ట్ చేద్దామా సార్? అందరిని మ్యూట్ చేసుకోమని చెప్పు పార్టిసిపెంట్స్ సార్. స్టార్ట్ చేసేద్దామా? విజిబిలిటీ కూడా క్లియర్ లేదు సార్.
వినిపిస్తుంది సార్. ఇట్ ఇస్ ఆడిబుల్. గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్.
హౌ ఆర్ యు?
ఫైన్ ఫైన్ సార్.
విజిబిలిటీ సార్ క్లియర్ లేదు సార్. విజిబిలిటీ కూడా క్లియర్ లేదు సార్. ఇప్పుడు వినిపిస్తుంది సార్. సార్ స్టార్ట్ చేద్దామా సార్?
selected the College of Commerce and Business Management for 2 years. I also thank the colleagues of mine for many decades. Now we have a wide department. I appreciate the concern towards me, particularly the principal, University College of Commerce and Business Management, Dr. Satyavati, Professor K. Raj Reddy, Chairman Board of Studies, Dr. Varla Lakshmi, Dean Faculty of Commerce, Dr. P. Amarveni, Dr. Rajendra, Dr. Narsimachari, young colleagues in the department who are working for decades at contract lectures and other lectures. Selected the College of Commerce and Business Management. I wholeheartedly thank these people for having thought of me on the inaugural day or on the orientation day. And this program is conducted many decades to socialize. Now we have invited the new coming students in the department. If you rightly take into consideration the word induction, the principal University College of Commerce and Business Management, Satyavati got admission in MBA program. Mr. K. Raj Reddy, they are from different colleges with a different backgrounds. Dr. Varla and all these people need to in Faculty of Commerce in the university system. B. Amarveni and university system has its own peculiarities and features. Young colleagues and they need to understand well. Who are working. I am not going to the mundane aspects of contract, university administration, hostel, etc. College of Commerce and Business Management. Today, induction program is only to sense for having thought of the students on the inaugural day or on the orientation day. And learning. This program is maybe in the context of COVID many decades or maybe COVID is almost erasing coming students, and even if there is no COVID, what into consideration good techniques of learning, induction, the principal, basically one need to understand, and the students, Satyavati, Madam Satyavati, Mr. K. Raj Reddy, there is also students with a different backgrounds. Dr. Varla, and to me when they were there to Faculty of Commerce.
Okay, sir.
In the university system, B. Amarveni, and I clarify university system has its own peculiarities and features. Students, young colleagues, they need to why do they join MBA program? Who are working? I am not going to for decades. The mundane aspects. Any student can answer me. Contract. Why do you join in MBA program? Hostel, etc. College of Commerce and Business Management. Anywhere in industry program is only. I don't know. Are you a student? The students. On the inaugural day or on the orientation day.
To make business operations easy, to know TikToks.
96 people is maybe in the context of COVID many decades or almost erasing coming students, and even if there is no COVID,
To know management skills,
what
how management should be.
good techniques of learning, induction, the principal, basically anybody need to understand, and the students
become a
Madam Satyavati in MBA program. Why do you use a different
Sir,
background?
I want to learn the business skills and I want to become a
business person.
Okay, sir.
Now can somebody with a business person and I clarify
Yes, sir.
university system has its own
Okay, sir.
peculiarities and features. Students, we want to understand why do they join MBA program? I am not
Yeah,
going
sir.
to the mundane aspects. Student can answer me. Let it be contract. Why do you join in MBA program? Hostel, etc. Now, anywhere in industry program is MBA program. I don't know. Are you a student? The students. And on the inaugural day or on the orientation day.
To make business operations easy, to know
Required
TikToks.
to manage the corporate world, maybe in the context of COVID. So that's why what we need to understand almost erasing what is the competencies that even if there is no COVID.
To know management skills,
Corporate world,
how management should be.
techniques of learning, induction, that we need to understand. Basically, anybody can understand the teachers and the students. Because we are not getting training for ourselves. And most of us, we are not
I
going
want
to
to learn the business skills and I want to
maybe
become
we try
a
to do job in organization.
Okay, sir.
Now you can competencies that are required by
Yes, sir.
IC or corporate world.
Okay, sir.
We want to what is called and them in the university. Basically, we need to understand two words. One is competition. What do you mean by competition? The second thing is in the name of education industry program, maybe the program is the grant for the students. And in the too long unit, what is that we are going to add? Okay.
To make business
First thing
operations
is,
easy, to know
I want you to understand, manage what is the basic objectives of education. So, that's why what we need to understand what is going to be that formula. There is no COVID. That we need to understand. Anybody who understands the teachers and the students. Because objectives of education training for ourselves. And most of us try to understand
Learn the business skills and I want to
maybe we
become
try to do what is cognitive. Now you can cognitive that are required by IEC or corporate world is cognitive object. We want to what is called and them in the university. Every psychomotor, one is so there are going like three objects. The second thing is the name of education industry program. Maybe education or the students. And the same long unit, what is that we are going to add?
to make business
These are the
operations
competencies that I want to understand to manage what is the basic objectives of education. So, for example, somebody who is studying what is going on in that formula. Somebody studying in the University College of Commerce and Business Management. Somebody studying pharmacy in pharmaceutical sciences. Education. Maybe we try to do what is if they require the same kind of what we call that are required by IEC or corporate world. Competency is nothing but set of knowledge and them in the these knowledge and attitudes they enable the people that are going to perform in organization. The second thing is if this is going to be, I said that education will have education objective. One is knowledge, what is the second skill and attitude. These are competencies that important issue is what is the knowledge, what is skill and what is attitude. So, for example, somebody basically knowledge is facts. What is going on and we should have the ability to recognize them. Cognition of commerce and business. What is a skill? Somebody studying the ability to use the knowledge is the skill. Pharmaceutical sciences. If you have the knowledge, you can use it. If you don't acquire the knowledge, then the question of using. Knowledge, if it is going to the facts, if they require the same kind of these facts, if you can understand, you can use that knowledge. Competency is nothing but circumstances in organizational context. The third thing is attitude. What is attitude? Attitude is disposition. If this is what is the disposition? I said that your willingness. Education will have many of us. We may have knowledge, but we may have skills, but we don't have proper attitude. Attitude is willingness. Attitude is a disposition. So, there are three components. Basically, knowledge of educational objectives, knowledge, skills, and attitude. If you convert them, they become cognition of commerce. And what is a skill? Knowledge, skills, and attitude. The postgraduate knowledge is a skill. Or undergraduate education, where you have the knowledge, whether it is a pharmacy, whether it is if you don't acquire the knowledge, but the issue is knowledge. Some of you might have studied engineering, some of you might have studied pharmacy, some of you can have studied basic arts, commerce courses like BBA, BCom, BA. All of you had the three components. But what is the difference in MBA program? My submission is that the knowledge component of MBA is different from engineering. The skills that are required for MBA graduate is different from pharmacy and engineering. The attitudinal dispositions or attitudes required in organizational context is different from in a laboratory or in maybe what you call a dam construction. So every field requires the three components. The way in which they have acquired the three components are different from one field to another field. That we need to understand if this is going to be. How do you know as an MBA student, how do you know that you require this knowledge, this skill, this attitude? Maybe the introductory session of Hanmantrao, is it going to tell you what is the knowledge, skills and attitude that is required to you? Is the teachers who are going to teach henceforth 7 courses in each semester is going to define the knowledge, skills and attitudes? Or the basic learning process is really enabling you to acquire the skills and attitudes? That is the fundamental issue I am raising. If knowledge, skills and attitudes are the three components which is going to be required, what is actually required? Do you know what is required? Tomorrow, after completing your MBA program, you will go for interview for any job. There they may try to ask you some questions. Sir, we don't know, sir, this. We don't know, sir, this. We don't know, sir, this. Like that, we try to complain. We try to show our handicapness. Somehow we say that, and we try to ultimately blame the universities. Or not blame, there is some truth. University is not proactive, not reactive, only reactive, and they are not planning ahead of the society. So the problem is, what is required for MBA students? Is there anything that is written? One university, just what you call introduce MBA program with 5 courses. Another university says that 7 courses. One university is marketing is important. Another university says that it is business analytics that are important. Is it they are acquiring all those things from the society because the societal needs we need to meet? So my simple question is that, is the university is able to define clearly what is the knowledge, skill and attitude set that need to be that need to be instructed and that need to be imparted to the students? And the second thing is, if you know the required set of knowledge, skills and attitudes, is that required set of knowledge, skills can be planned? The question of execution we'll talk about. Planned. Because 2 years, in 2 years, summer, if you remove it from the curriculum, hardly you will get 8 months in a year. 8 months, not even 8 months, 3 plus 3, 6 months in a year to educate the people. The remaining things are for examination, holidays. So these 6 months plus 6 months, about 12 months, you are properly, if at all, educated. Whether you can plan all those things that are required for the students, planned knowledge, skills and attitude. That is another fundamental issue. Then having planned, is all those things can be delivered? Is all those can be delivered? delivered through teaching and learning process. Now all the students, please listen to me carefully. First word, what is required? KSA. Second is what is planned by universities. Third is delivered by the universities. Now you compare the required and the delivered. Write 3 statements in an horizontal way. One is required KSA, another is planned KSA, and the third is delivered KSA. Now, if required is going to be 100, what should have been planned and what should have been delivered? And the second important thing is required is societal required, not our society. Most of what you call organizations today, they are not recruiting the graduates directly from the universities. They are recruiting these people from finishing schools. Finishing schools in the sense, recruiting school. There are many recruiting schools which you don't know. There initially you offer your biodata, they will interview, they try for some time, then they will see that you are posted. So if you look at how much of the percentage of the students are going to be directly placed in organizations after completing MBA. You know, I have worked in Bhagata University around 37 years, 37 and a half years, I believe. In 37 and a half years, in spite of some efforts, I don't see many people are placed in organization directly. Maybe few people are placed. Not even 5 people in every year. Why? There may be interviews, there may be people coming from the organizations. They simply reject the people because, sir, they don't have the attitude, sir. They don't have right perspective, sir. They don't have minimum skills, sir. These are the words which they use. And apart from this, I worked as director for 2 years in a private institution in Warangal, Vagdevi. There also the same problem. In the sense, private sector is more proactive than somehow they will bring people for advertisement and they say too, but hardly there are few people who are going to be placed directly in organization, and even if placed, the salary is going to be less. Maybe 3 lakhs, which is equivalent to 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs like that. Maybe which is equivalent to 20-25,000 maximum. Now the issue is, who is going to define what is required? I'll try to draw some analogy. The parents and in-laws. Parents provide all the facilities to the people and help them to grow. In the process, they acquire some kind of what you call skills, attitudes, etc. But this parental support vis-a-vis in-laws requirement, you compare. If the skills that are possessed by you or me or somebody else is equivalent to in-laws requirement, they will go for alliance. Otherwise, they don't say. In the same fashion, in the industry people are your in-laws. They are expecting from you, you should know first. So that you Pardon? I am drawing an analogy. It's like a marriage. In the marriage, the in-laws will have say. And sometimes it is reverse. But if the in-laws insist that you need to procure, you need to have this, you need to have this, we need to have. But if in-laws are weak, we can suggest something. But normally in the industry, what I am trying to say that industry expects some requirements from you. By the end of the 2 years course, you should recognize what they expect, and you need to acquire. For that, what I am trying to understand, first, what is the knowledge, skills and attitudes that is required? What is the knowledge, skills and attitude that is, I believe, what you call planned by the university? Unfortunately, whether people agree or disagree, most of the requirements of the society cannot be planned in the university system because the universities are outdated in many respects. In the sense, we don't know the current practices. The textbooks that is written is long back. Maybe they are fundamentally right. But current practices, what is happening in organizations? I know some of the things which is happening in the HR field, which no book has what you call as the content. And practices in real-time industry is different from what we teach to the students in HR specialization. And people talk about the compensation, labor laws, all those things. They are outdated now. They are outdated. So here, my intention is that what is that they can plan. In the planning process, the universities are not doing justice because the syllabus is not prepared now. The curriculum is so rigid that 10 years back if the syllabus, or 5 years back if the syllabus is prepared, that the same syllabus is imparted even today. For example, even they change the syllabus and fundamentally they don't change the syllabus. You go for some analysis of Kakatiya University MBA syllabus for the last 2 decades. What is the fundamental change that is there in the syllabus? Do the industry is not changed for the last 2 years, 20 years? Do the practices in HR, finance and other things have not changed for the last 20 years? Whether the syllabus is relevant to the current practices of the industry. Some of my question is, my colleagues, young colleagues need to tell me. I am not blaming you guys. I am also responsible for, and the entire society is not responsible. It is not Kakatiya University which is only exception. Even MBA institutions, the great IIM, Ahmedabad, or IIM Bangalore, IIM Calcutta is not contemporary. Their syllabus is not contemporary to the extent possible. They are trying. In the sense, their way of teaching learning methods is not able to make the students to get the knowledge, skills and attitude that is required. In the sense, even IIM graduates are being questioned by the industry stating that you are relevant. When they are not relevant, I don't think that we are going to be relevant because we have all the deficiencies that we can notice. So curriculum is not contemporary, and the skills that are required is not part of the curriculum, and the attitude that's supposed to be imparted to the students are not imparted because of many constraints in the university or in the private college system. I'll go by one after some time, but basically there are certain what you call issues whether you can plan what is required. Okay, you have planned for something. How much of you are delivering? Sometimes the students are not regular to the classes. They come after what you call 10 days of reopening the college. If there is a festival, 3 days or 4 days, they bunk the classes. Afternoon, the great MBA students, they don't work in the afternoons because they believe that if they work 3 hours a day, that is enough because they are executives. But once they join in the organization, these guys will know. MBA students will not attend the classes in the afternoon. That was the symptom we have noticed in recent years, maybe 10 years or 15 years. Before that, students will be in the class. But in organizations, what I tell, organizations work 24/7. Maybe in the midnight when you are sleeping on the bed, somebody will ask you to come to the office. We don't know. The police, what is happening? Railways, what is happening? They are planning, but there are exceptions. But do you have the right kind of attitude? Here, what I am saying, the planning and the delivery. In the delivery, the students are responsible to some extent, the teachers are responsible to some extent. Somehow, what is supposed to be delivered, it is not being delivered. Hence, the gap is much higher. What is the gap? 100% if you need to be what you call possess the KSA set. Is it audible? Ready?
Yes, audible, sir.
Is it okay?
Yeah, okay, sir.
Clarity of tone you can see.
Okay, sir. Okay, good, sir. Good audible.
Clarity of tone. Is there any voice break?
Sir, stuck అయింది sir.
Any voice break?
Sir, it's stucking, sir. Somewhere. Sir, your voice is stucking, sir.
Hello.
Yes, now it
Hello?
is audible,
Is there
sir.
any voice? Hello? ఇప్పుడు
Yes, వినిపిస్తుంది sir.
క్లారిటీ ఉందమ్మా?
క్లారిటీ ఉంది కానీ మీ వీడియో సరిగా లేదు సార్, స్టక్ అయింది
What
సార్.
happened?
పిక్చర్ ఈజ్ స్టక్ అయింది సార్.
వీడియో రావట్లేదు సార్.
క్లారిటీ లేదా
వీడియో అసలు రావట్లేదు సార్.
అమ్మా?
వీడియో అసలు
I
రావట్లేదు.
think there is some network issue.
ఇప్పుడు
Okay, sir.
నౌ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఓకే.
ఇప్పుడు నెట్వర్క్ ఇక మనం చేయగలిగేది ఏం లేదు.
ఓకే సార్, ప్రొసీడ్.
ఈజ్ ఇట్ ఆడబుల్?
ఎస్ సార్.
మీకు వినిపిస్తుంది కదా?
వినిపిస్తుంది సార్.
Now, what time I am to? So what I am trying to say that there is knowledge, skills and attitude set which is required. Something that university will plan, something the universities will deliver. The question is how much you as a learner can acquire. If I deliver, maybe for the last half an hour I am trying to deliver something, how much you remember? What percentage you remember? Tell me. ఎవరు మాట్లాడలేదు కానీ రెడ్డి గారు అన్న మాట్లాడారు. హౌ మచ్ యూ రిమెంబర్? ఫస్ట్ ఇష్యూ ఈజ్ ఆల్ ది కంపోనెంట్స్ ఆఫ్ నాలెడ్జ్, స్కిల్స్ అండ్ యాటిట్యూడ్స్. Now look at the so-called syllabus of Kakatiya University. In the syllabus, what is the methodology that we are using to deliver? Please listen to me. If the MBA students require the knowledge, skills and attitudes, the knowledge is imparted through some techniques of learning. Skills are imparted through some techniques of learning. The attitudes are attitude modification or behavioral modification is done through some techniques of learning. Unfortunately, in most of the universities today, only knowledge is important. The teaching learning methods that we use with enabling learning. But the learning is only knowledge. That knowledge is also outdated knowledge. In the sense it is not contemporary. Conveniently, the other two components of skills and attitudes are ignored. Competencies ignored. Look at the curriculum of Kagadi University. Is it possible for anybody to acquire the skills? Even the so-called case studies are also removed from the curriculum. The communication skills, the debating skills, the argument skills, the negotiation skills, where do they get? Where is the opportunity? Because your curriculum, you define curriculum in a limited way. When you define the curriculum in a limited way, you delivered in a limited way. So here, my simple question is that there is a gap between what is required and what is planned, what is planned and what is delivered, what is delivered and required, and what is acquired and what is required. 4 words: required, planned, delivered, and acquired. In the 4 words, if you write vertically or horizontally, starting with 100% required, then you imagine what is that you can have. For example, in Kagati, 3 components, let us assume that in education perspective, 3 components are important. 3 components will give what you call equal weighting. That is 33. So when 100% is required, only one component is addressed, that is the knowledge. Skills component and attitude component we have ignored. So with the 33%, which is going to be planned, and how much is going to be delivered and how much is going to be acquired. So 66% of the components required is ignored at the planning level itself, or maybe a 10% is added, or a 15% is added. At least 50% of them is ignored. And the remaining 50%, what you can acquire. You don't. Maybe you may acquire a 50% of it or 70% of it. Even if it is going to be 75, it is going to be 35% of total. The 35% of the total is not equivalent to 100. And because of that, we are thrown out of the interview rooms because we don't have the required knowledge, skills, and attitudes. That is the basic issue. So, basically, why this gap? I told you that there is a gap between what we need to require, what the industry requires, and what we need to acquire. And that gap, why this gap? Because there are 2 important dimensions. Apart from physical systems, there are other things. Many MBA students, when they join, they believe that it is going to be a vocational course, not a professional course. And a professional course requires a set of mindset where don't expect everything to be taught. You have to self-learn. You need to learn on your own. And why the so-called gap is arranged, we are confused with 2 words. One is teaching, another is learning. So, what is teaching? A teaching is a human transaction involving a teacher and learner, if at all there is a teacher, because I don't believe that there is a teacher. Maybe designation wise and nomenclature wise, I agree. Because a teacher and a learner are the same. But a teacher is a manager, a learner is an operator. Manager has to arrange the resources for learning. So, teaching process, learning process, if you try to understand, a learning process is nothing but trying to understand our own deficiencies and acquire the competencies that is required. Here, teacher is a facilitator and who is going to help the learner to operate the resources. Help the learner to operate the resources, not he himself is going to operate the resources continuously. In the sense, for example, if I take you to a laboratory, in the laboratory, maybe a computer laboratory, if I do everything and I ask you to observe, that means I am operating the instrument. What I should see that you should operate the instrument, I should facilitate your learning. I should facilitate your learning. If this is going to be, what is a learning? A learning is a process of identifying limitations. Why you joined MBA program? You have limitations. You need to understand the limitations and you need to overcome the limitations. For example, you don't know how to prepare a cash book. That is your limitation. So some teacher will facilitate you to learn how to prepare a cash book. Or you don't know how to calculate a standard deviation or an average, a mean, or a correlation coefficient or regression. That is the limitation. You don't know. The teacher knows, he enables. So you need to diagnose, you need to detect your own what you call limitations, and the teacher will facilitate you and you acquire the competencies to overcome the limitations. That I try to understand. If so, teacher is a facilitator, learner is the person who is having some deficiencies and who takes the responsibility for overcoming the deficiencies. In the sense, he must learn for himself, no one can learn for himself. He must learn for himself, no one can learn for others. A teacher who is going to teach you is facilitating your learning, but he is not going to learn for all the 60 people in the classroom. How can I learn for the 60 people in the classroom? I am coming. Okay, somebody has raised hand, Chinna. Please allow him to speak. Allow him to speak. Chinna. Is there any confusion? Hello? వినపట్లేదా? హలో, ఏమైందయ్యా? హలో, is it not visible? Hello?
Allow the participant to ask the question.
ఏమండి? ఇదేందో ఇది వినపట్లేదు, నాకు వినపట్లేదు, నీకు ఏం వినపడుతుందో నాకు అర్థమే కావట్లా. హలో
సార్, మీరు మాట్లాడేది వినపడుతుంది సార్, క్లారిటీగా ఉంది.
రైట్ చేశాడు, అతను ఏదో మాట్లాడమని నేను ఆన్సర్ చెప్తాను.
Hello, Giri.
Yeah, every participant has permission to ask, sir.
Hello?
He has lowered.
హ్యాండ్ రైజ్ చేసిండంట, వాళ్ళని అడగమనండి.
హలో,
ఇప్పుడు లో చేస్తారు సార్.
తిన్నా. హలో,
He is not asking, sir. He left the meeting.
He left the meeting, sir.
చిన్న లెఫ్ట్ సార్.
ఓకే. వీడెవడో ఎమ్మెల్యే పేరు పెట్టి ఇట్లా పెట్టొద్దని చెప్పండి. స్టూడెంట్స్ వాళ్ళు ఇదేమో నెట్వర్క్ కాదు, ఎవరి ఇష్టం వచ్చిన పేర్లు వాడు పెట్టుకోవటం. మిస్టర్ ఎమ్మెల్యే పెట్టేటోడు. హలో, ఓకే, ఇది ఆడబుల్.
Okay, sir. Yes, it is audible, sir. Audible.
Yes, sir.
Is it audible?
Yes, sir. Yes,
clear. Hello.
Sir, it is audible, sir. Please, you continue, sir.
Okay. Why there is a gap between this? Why there is a gap between required? Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir. Martin, sir. Sir, Martin, sir. వినపడుతుంది.
చెప్పండి.
Okay, there is a gap between required, delivered, planned, and acquired. Why? It is because there is a confusion. The confusion is we need to understand that teaching learning. I said that what is teaching and what is learning. Many of the students believe that you are learning because of the teacher teaching. It is not true. Simple question is that you are confusing with learning and teaching. As such, there is no word like teaching. There is only word which is learning. Both the teacher and the students are learners. So in the learning process, we need to recognize the limitations and the constraints, and we need to acquire the competencies, and we need to learn. Most of the students in MBA program, fundamentally, if you look at simply whether they will come to the class prepared. Before the class, whether they study. After the class, whether they study. During the class, they are going to what you call raise the issues. This is a fundamental issue. In the sense, student has to take the responsibility of learning and don't expect the teacher to take the responsibility of learning. Teacher is only a facilitator. If you reach the teacher will facilitate. If you don't teach the teacher and you claim that this syllabus is not completed, syllabus never completed, there is going to be no syllabus at all. It is only competencies. That is only what you call a kind of guideline. Your syllabus is the guideline. That is not an ultimate. So why the gap? And what is that we need to learn? Is there any relationship between the learning strategies and learning outcomes? What is the learning strategy? The technique that we adopt to learn. So what are the different techniques of learning? For example, the best technique and widely practiced technique is lecture. A teacher will come prepared and a student will sit and try to listen. Is the student is really listening is a fundamental issue. And with that, what is that we will get? Through lecture, knowledge can be imparted. There is no way to impart skills. For example, you can't teach how to fish through a lecture. Maybe if you believe in the lecture and if you want to fish, or nobody can teach you how to swim. If you believe in the lecture, if you want to swim, you will be drowned in the water. So lecture will impart knowledge. And there are other techniques which are going to be used in the management education or any other education. For example, group discussion. Lecture is going to be one learning strategy. What I am trying to tell you is that there are different strategies. Lecture strategy will give you knowledge, provided you are going to listen. Most of the people, they believe that they are listening, but they are not listening, they are just hearing. Listening and hearing is different. Hearing is just what you call hearing the sounds. Listening is understanding. If a teacher teaches in the classroom for 60 minutes, are you attentive to the teacher? Is that you are able to understand what are the issues that are discussed? Could you understand what the intentions of the teacher in delivering the lecture? So if that is going to be, that is one method. The second method is group discussion. You know, in employment interviews, in many interviews, the basic what you call requirement is that there are multi-stages of interviews. The first stage may be written test, the second stage may be group discussion, the third stage is the oral interview. First stage, the written examination depends upon your knowledge component. A knowledge component essence, if you know subject, you will be able to answer the questions and you can elevate it to the next stage, group discussion. What is a group discussion? And what is the difference from lecture to the group discussion? Is that group discussion will help you to what you call gain anything. Group discussion will enable you to excel in the art of negotiation. How to understand others, how to tolerate others, when to raise your point, how to raise your point. It is not arrogance, arrogance group discussion. It is not just what you call argument. It is a negotiation skill. Now, if this is going to be, there are some other what you call techniques of learning like role play. Role play means giving a situation. You are asked to what you call imbibe the qualities of a manager or a worker, and you try to exhibit, demonstrate, play. That is role play. Then case studies, a description of real-time situations, and asking you to take a decision. And the case studies itself going to be one lecture. We'll discuss if time permits next. Then there are business games. What is happening in the real time? There are computer assisted learning, maybe your so-called what you call websites. Then some independent studies where you take the help of your mentor, teacher, but you take the responsibility for everything. Then there is some brainstorming sessions where the problem is given and you are asked to negotiate. Now, if this is going to be, there are few techniques I am trying to say. In all the techniques, what is happening? Why people are using predominantly lecture method? Why students are comfortable in adapting to lectures? Because in the lecture method or in any methods, there is a question of control of classroom. Degree of control that is vested with the teacher or the student. As the learning process is going to move from the lecture to other methods, the control is moved to students. Teacher will be only just Pekshaka Patra antaru chudandi, is an observer. But that observer role, whether teacher is willing to take, most of the cases, teacher is unwilling to take the observer case. He believes that there is a lecture, 60 minutes, headings and subheadings, if you teach, that is over. If you take a case method, you have to prepare and you have to listen to the arguments, sometimes silly arguments of the students. There will going to be some chaos, and sometimes the student is going to question something which we don't know. So why to take the risk of losing something, losing the battle of negotiation before the students? But my humble suggestion to youngsters is that there is nothing that we are going to lose something. If we don't know something, we say that we don't know something. If we know something, we'll explain. There is no requirement that we should know everything. And there is no requirement that we are omnibus. We have our own limitations. Today, if I don't know something, tomorrow I'll read and let you know. But because of this degree of control, which is going to move from the teacher to student, many people, teachers, they negate multiple teaching learning strategies. Students also, in lecture method, they pretend to listen, whereas in other methods, they have to participate. And because of that, they try to ignore these methods. So there is a group discussion and nobody will come. If there is a brainstorming, everybody is going to be sleepy and nobody is going to answer. If it is going to be a role play, they don't prepare. So only because if you take a new role, you are going to be uncertain. You are not able to maybe a feeling that you're not able to perform. So the best is that there is a secured way of surviving. The secured way of surveying is prepare the lecture and deliver the lecture and listen to the lecture and move after the class. Any other activity, if you do, you have insecurity. Any other activity, if you want to take up, you have some kind of uncertainty. And because of that, most of the teachers and students, they are not involved in the multiple learning activities, even though they are required. Now tell me, how much time? Amma?
Sir, you can continue, sir. కొంచెం బ్రేక్ తీసుకుని కంటిన్యూ చేస్తే చేయండి సార్. హలో సార్.
ఇప్పుడు గంట అయిపోయింది.
అదే సార్ 1 అవర్ అయిపోయింది.
మీరు వింటానండి.
ఓకే సార్, వీఆర్ రెడీ టు హియర్ సార్.
అడ్రస్ సరే, ఒక 5 నిమిషాలు టైం ఇవ్వండి.
ఓకే సార్, బ్రేక్ తీసుకోండి.
ఒక 5 నిమిషాలు టైం ఇవ్వండి. ఈ లోపు ఏమైనా క్వశ్చన్ ఈ లోపు క్వశ్చన్లు ఏమైనా తయారు చేసుకోండి, అడగదలుచుకుంటే అడగండి.
ఓకే, సరే సార్.
ఇక్కడ ఉందమ్మా, దాంట్లో అడ్రస్ రాసి ఉంది చూసా.
గిరి
మీరు కానిమ్మా.
హలో గిరి. గిరి.
హలో మేడం.
హలో గిరి ఉన్నారా? హలో గిరి. ఏంటి పార్టిసిపెంట్స్ ఏమైనా ప్రిఫరెన్స్ వచ్చినాయా చాట్ బాక్స్ లో?
హలో మేడం, మనకి ఇప్పుడు కాలేజీలో రెగ్యులర్ క్లాసెస్ ఎప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ అయింది?
ఇప్పుడు ఏం రాలేదా? పోనీ మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి ఇన్ఫార్మ్ చేయండి పిల్లలకి. ఎనీ క్వరీస్ క్యాన్ బి డ్రాప్ ఇంటూ చాట్ బాక్స్ అని చెప్పేసి అది చూసుకుని మరి రెస్పాండ్ అవుతారు.
హలో. హలో.
ఓకే అమ్మా.
సార్ కంటిన్యూ చేయండి సార్.
ఓకేనా?
ఓకే సార్.
So far, we try to understand the objectives of education, such as cognitive, psychomotor, and affective, translated into knowledge, skills, and attitude. Then try to understand what is the component of knowledge, education, skills and attitudes that is required, planned, delivered, and acquired, and why there is a gap. And the gap is because what is required is not known to the user. The student clearly knows, nor the universities knows what is required in the context. The prevailing knowledge or the prevailing truth is not known to us because the gap between the industry and the institute. There is no collaboration between the institutes and industry, and because of that, we don't know what are the recent practices, and we are trying to learn the practices which is documented. The practice which is documented, they are long back, and there is a gap. How you can understand the gap is, maybe you look at what you call the recent publications or journals, such as HPR. Vikalpa. HBR documents, Harvard Business Review documents, the recent practices in the industry. And some of the words they are using in the language of business, we are unheard of. Likewise, if you look at Vikalpa, a magazine published by IIM Ahmedabad, the kind of research that is going there and the kind of the knowledge they are disseminating, that is definitely different from what we disseminate. So there is always a gap between required and planned, delivered and acquired. And basically this gap is because we are pursuing the outdated knowledge, and we are concentrating on delivering the knowledge rather than attitudes, and we are having a confusion with regarding the teaching and learning. We that teacher has more responsibility, and we assume that teacher will teach and will automatically learn. But unfortunately, this is not true. Teacher is only facilitator and learner has to learn himself or herself. The second important thing is the relation between the teaching methods and the knowledge, skill and attitude that is acquired. For example, if there is a lecture method, what is the component that we will be able to acquire? Only knowledge. Only knowledge. If it is going to be, you acquire the knowledge, you acquire the skill, you acquire the attitudes. If it is going to be a group discussion, mostly you acquire the skill and attitude. If it is going to be a role play, you acquire an attitude. If it's going to be brainstorming, you acquire the skill and knowledge. So likewise, there are different components of educational objectives vis-a-vis the learning methods. But why we do all multiple methods of learning in the facilitation of the students? Because if you choose lecture method, you are comfortable as a teacher, and as a student they are comfortable because they can pretend that they have listened. But if it is case method, they have to discuss, they have to argue, they have to prepare, they have to study before the classroom, after the classroom, and they don't take all these burden, and hence everybody is comfortable in lecture method. And the control is going to be more for teachers when they are accept the practice lecture method. In lecture method, what will happen? We will make the students to pretend to listen. Whether they have listened or not, God only knows. But in all other methods, the control moves from lecture to the students, and nobody is willing to forego their rights, and they always preserve the rights. Hence, Narsimachari, Hanumantrao and everybody will prefer lecture method. No question of what you call allowing the students to speak in the classroom or practice practice something that is required, so that they will have skill, they will have what you call attitude modification. Now, what is an attitude modification? First, try to understand whether we have given an opportunity to students to participate in some dimensions. See, we fix the timetable from 9 to some time. Whether there is possibility that we take a class at 7 o'clock, asking the students to come at 7 o'clock. If you ask the students to come at 7 o'clock, is it wrong? I don't know. I was given an understanding because I was taught at 12 in the midnight in IIM Ahmedabad, 12 in the midnight in IIM Ahmedabad by Professor T.V. Rao, because he doesn't have time he fixed the session at 12 in the midnight. And at the 12 midnight, we had a cup of coffee and we sat for 3 hours till 3 o'clock a.m. and we discussed something. Now, if I do the same thing in Kagati University, will the head of the department will allow? I ventured the same thing in the PG college. Just what you call taken the class at 6 o'clock in the morning, and students are willing, students' parents are willing, but our teachers are not willing. My own friend Sharma has created U and Cry, MSS. His wife, both are created U and Cry, and the so-called principal who allowed me to take the class at 6 o'clock in the morning. After a few classes, he says that no, you are not supposed to take. Now, is it organizations are not working 24/7? Is it organizations, woman is not working in the night? 6 o'clock, if a girl student is going to come to the class, is it wrong? Maybe 25 years back, I taught at 6 o'clock in the university campus. And many students came, they are now general managers in some companies, 6 o'clock in the morning. It is not to punish them, it is to change their attitudes. Don't try to seek comfort zones. The comfort zone is 11 o'clock, I'll attend the class, otherwise I don't attend the class. It is a comfort zone. If I get a job in Hyderabad, I'll do the job, otherwise I don't do job. This kind of luxury, it is not going to be there for you and your generation. You may need to work everywhere. So change your attitudes. Change your attitudes. If you want to change your attitudes, first you need to change your thoughts. And don't try to what you call restrictive. Don't try to be restrictive. Even the police, railways, midnight people are working. So here what I want to tell you that how do you impart attitudes? Can you fix the classes in the morning, in the evening? Evening 7 o'clock. What is wrong? You allow your students to come at evening. And morning you give some what you call homework to them. And for MBA teacher, I don't think that there is a working hours like MBA students. They can work at any time. If they work, their attitudes are going to be changed. Basic behavioral change is required. Another thing is the skills and other things. All these things you will get only if you are able to what you call do something. What is that? Learning. That learning will have some activities. So what are the activities? I go one by one. Let us suppose in the name of learning, what we do. One is reading. What you read in undergraduate, I'm not concerned. What you are going to read in MBA, if you are really MBA students, if you are interested, and in the context of COVID, post-COVID, and you know, somebody is losing the jobs and everybody checking for many things. Tomorrow, if you want to get a job, you need to have good what we call knowledge. That what we try to understand, conceptual knowledge. No organization is going to punish you for your better knowledge. They will appreciate. So what are the activities? Number one, reading. Under reading, what you can read? Textbooks. What is the textbooks? Now, for the last 10 to 15 years, MBA students are not seeing the textbooks. They have become such a boring stuff. I am using the word boring stuff. If I see MBA student with a good textbook in his hand, I'll appreciate. I love, whether it's a male or female. I'm 65 years old. If somebody is going carrying 2 textbooks in hand, to the classroom, I'll definitely appreciate the student. First level. Second level, it is not just for demonstration. One has to study from these textbooks. So how many students really studying textbooks? Now engineering education has become worse. Management, undergraduate courses have become worse because nobody knows the textbooks. And medicine has become worse because there are some guides. When we were studying BCom, I still remember, I used to have a teacher who used to teach us from Bartley Bai, which is an outdated book, where everything is written in the name of Bartley Bai accounting. But I studied T.S. Grewal, M.S. Shukla, Y.K. Bhushan, business organization. Like that, I remember all the textbooks even today, after 43 years. How many of undergraduate students now, how many of MBA students who just joined MBA program can name one textbook for one subject? I'm throwing a challenge. Those 69 people, now they are 69 people. Earlier, they are what you call 89 or 82 people. And by 1 hour, they got bored and they left. So this kind of people, if they are going to be MBA students, I don't think the department will get laurels. These 10 people or 20 people who are left the program, they are useless guys. So these useless guys spoil the rest of the society because they will get more marks in the evaluation process because our evaluation process is something wrong. And the regular students who study the textbooks, they may not get marks. That is the problem. Now, please listen to me. First, the MBA student needs to understand that he has to spend a lot of time in reading. And ultimately, he will not have time to time to spend leisurely. There are many textbooks. Likewise, in a theoretical world, there are many management journals, online, offline. How many teachers are assigning some activities like reading an article and presenting in the classroom? If you can you can make the students read, or students is going to read journal articles, they will be able to understand contemporary knowledge. And mostly, if you read the foreign journals, like seeing a foreign movie, everybody is interested to see English movie, but nobody is interested to study an international journal published by maybe Harvard Business School, like that. In the university, we have few journals which are physical in the form. Earlier there used to be many journals. Now there are few. But can you use the website of Kakatiya University? Can you use what you call the e-journals? How many e-journals are there in the Kakatiya University? If you are physically present in the Kakatiya University, and if you use the physical systems in Kakatiya University, in the context, what I am suggesting you that any system of the Kakatiya University, computer system of the Kakatiya University, which has internet, will facilitate you to browse e-journals. So in the department, in the laboratory, you can browse the journals, e-journals. And there are wonderful e-journals. How many I don't count, but Emerald Group. Likewise, Joster, J-S-T-O-R, Joster. J-S-T-O-R, Joster, I think, Joster. And in these two websites, you will find a lot of journals where you will find contemporary knowledge. You check for management journals, you will get it. So if you start reading the journals, you will have context. But many of us, we are ignoring this learning activity. This learning what? Reading. Then reading assignments, reading cases. See, what is going to be typical reading load of a student in IIM Ahmedabad? Every day they read a minimum of 200 pages and then go to the classes. Maybe entire semester our people will not read 200 papers at the end of the day. Only guides they will read. Textbooks they don't read. Try to understand, reading these things. Then performing, demonstrating. You can go for role playing is another activity. Maybe do small projects. Do small projects. Unfortunately, for the many years, I don't blame anybody. Students, they don't do real-time projects. They only what you call purchase the projects from a Xerox center for 1,000 rupees or 1,500 rupees or 4,000 rupees, whatever may be, and present to the committees stating some limitations, and both the students and the teachers, including the so-called presenter now, we are part of the so-called collusion, wherein we have not done justice. And in the universities and in elsewhere, the projects have become dummy. When the projects have become dummy, what is the knowledge that is going to gain by you, and what is the skill that is going to be gained by you? So if the project is going to be genuine one, apart from role play, you will acquire some skills. In order to understand better, there are certain softwares that can be used to do project, and one software I suggest you, Excel, to do calculations and etc. And a better software I suggest you is battery అయిపోతుంది, నేను అది చేంజ్. Okay, better software used to SPSS. Hello.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Hello.
వినిపిస్తుంది సార్.
Hello.
వినిపిస్తుంది సార్.
వినిపిస్తుందండి.
వినిపిస్తుంది సార్.
Better software to use this SPSS, and I please try to learn. Hello.
వినిపిస్తుంది సార్.
Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
A better software is SPSS. And then work experiences is another activity. Maybe you go for small work experience in some companies in here and there. Maybe you try to work in the evening, some what you call kirana shop, it doesn't matter, some departmental stores, because Warangal is a small place. Maybe whatever the facilities that we have to explore and try to do some part-time jobs in organizations, whether it's a sole trader organization or big organization, doesn't matter. So that you will be able to understand the psyche of the consumer. Psyche of the consumer. For example, if you are going to be a Spencer, what you call departmental store for 3 hours, you work for 2 months. I don't say that you need to work for all the year long. Just 2 months. Maybe core marketing, where you are be selling vegetables, that is consumer non-durables, and maybe go for another 2 months in consumer durables. Likewise, you try to work with the chartered accountant in finance, go for a company analysis, finance fellows, and HR fellows are not easily allowed in organizations to work with. But somehow you need to find out some organization like NPDCL, wherein they will allow you to work for 2 months or 3 months. There you will be able to understand the human resources practices. But HR is not easy to enter into organizations for work experience. But don't bother about HR, marketing and finance. You just get some experience working in an organization, whether it is a small organization, even the hotel in a front office, you work for 2 months. Maybe during nights you work, evening you work, or if you are willing, you can work in a what you call continental type of multi-cuisine restaurant, where you will be able to understand consumer behavior. What is wrong? If you feel of learning, you can work anywhere, it doesn't matter. Then another important activity in the learning process is listening, speaking and discussion. I have seen MBA students, both male and female, not even, they attended the college the whole year, they never spoke in the classroom. They never. They are so touchy that as if somebody is what you call behaving in uncivilized way. I used to have an habit of moving to every student in the classroom. I leave the blackboard and try to reach the students. And I have seen the touchiness of the individuals, both male and female. They are not willing to talk. They are not willing to what you call. They are not interested. They are just restrictive. Why this gentleman should come to me? అబ్బాయిలు అట్లనే ఉన్నారు, అమ్మాయిలు అట్లనే ఉన్నారు. They are not proactive. They don't talk. But when we come out of the class, they will talk everything. That is a different issue. So the other activity is listening. Listening is mother of speaking. Listening is hard. Hence, listening is understanding. Listening is not listening. Listening is understanding. One should be able to understand clearly. So, what are the techniques that enable us to listen, speak, and discuss? Maybe lectures, student-led discussions, quizzes, debates, and oral reports, maybe films. Even management can be understood. Seeing a movie, and the different concepts can be taught using different movies. Telugu movie, interpersonal relations. You take Telugu movie, Atma Bandhavana cinema on the path. ఏదో ఒక సినిమా తీసుకుని పిల్లలు చూపించవచ్చు, పిల్లలు చదువు నేర్చుకోవచ్చు. The concepts of learning. Then one more important thing is writing. If learning activities, if you try to understand reading, then performing, listening, and another important activity is writing. What is that you write? Have you seen the people? You observe yourself and you observe others. Some people struggle to write in the answer paper. In the answer paper, the writing is so bad, it is invisible. Nobody can understand it. But how they are passing out, I don't know. They write something which is not visible. And the writing is so bad. Now, in organization context, I'm not talking about oral writing in the sense what you call with a pen. Tomorrow, even if you use the computers, the sentences should convey some meaning. And it should have clarity, brevity, conciseness, and should motivate the reader to read. Some movie without stopping we'll see. Some movie we'll don't see. We'll get some kind of inconsistencies and we don't want. Likewise, some textbook. When you are reading, it is interesting. Like Philip Kotler's marketing book. If you don't read, some books may be accounting. You may have some kind of breaks because the concepts you don't understand easily. But ultimately what I am trying to say is that the ability of a manager in organizational context depends upon his ability to communicate both the oral form and written form. So in the writing part, what is that you can write? You can write as a student daily assignments. You can write seminar papers. You can write quizzes. You can write exercises. And you can write some reports as a student's perspective. That improves your ability to write, your ability to communicate. But unfortunately, these activities are ignored by students. These activities are ignored by students. If this is going to be, what is innovative learning? Or what is student-centered learning? And what is active learning? There are few words which we use, but basically we try to understand. If you move from teacher-centered learning to student-centered learning, that I try to understand innovative learning. And that I'll stop here. And you give me feedback, you question me. Actually, I have discussed only a learning part. I have not discussed innovative learning techniques. That I will discuss if opportunity is given in the next occasion. But only thing is, a learner needs to learn how to learn. First, if you learn how to learn, then only you will be able to learn. If you don't know how to learn, the learning is impossible. So, learn how to learn, then we'll think about the innovative learning techniques in the next session. Okay? Now, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Now you can ask questions.
Yes, all the participants, they can ask the queries.
ఏమండి ఎందుకంటే నేను మళ్ళీ చాలా రోజుల తర్వాత ఇవాళే మాట్లాడాను కొద్దిగా గ్యాప్ ఇద్దాం I request my colleagues also to speak. My colleagues also can speak. It is not for just students. వినపడదా సెషన్ అంతా హలో
Hello, sir.
వినపడ్డదా? సెషన్ అంతా వినపడ్డది కదా?
వినపడింది సార్.
వినిపిస్తే మాట్లాడండి ఎవరన్నా.
Sir, there is a mismatch between knowledge given by the universities and the required knowledge. But the university teachers, they cannot change the syllabus as they wish and like, sir.
No.
So there is a lot of procedure and time consuming process. So in this situation, how far a teacher can contribute or change the syllabus or update the syllabus as per the requirements?
ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ చెప్పేది ఏంటంటే ఓకే ఇంకా ఇప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ మీకు వచ్చిన కాన్సెప్ట్ మాట్లాడుతున్నాను. యూనివర్సిటీ సిస్టంలో universities are insensitive to what is happening to in the industry somewhere, but good number of institutions, they are sensitive and they are looking at the practice of the industry. They are preparing the syllabus and making the students train in the new techniques or anything. For example, why business schools are preferred, why IIMs, why the so-called what you call PGDM institutions, because there is a flexibility for them to prepare the syllabus. In the university also, that flexibility should be there. It doesn't matter whether there is an affiliated college or there is going to be a constituent college or the university college. Syllabus every 2 years we need to change with a real intention, not just for changing the syllabus. We have changed the syllabus of MBA many times, but what is the factuality and what is the real content we have changed? Whenever we want to change something, somebody will come like Sakriya, like teachers and ask many questions. అంటే మనం నేర్చుకునే కాబట్టి డైరెక్ట్గా మాట్లాడుతున్నాను కాదు, ఎప్పుడైనా మాట్లాడేవాళ్ళు. ఇప్పుడు మీ ఎంకామ్ సిలబస్ మారలేదా? ఎంకామ్ కంప్యూటర్ సైన్స్ సిలబస్ మారలేదమ్మా?
మారింది సార్.
సో వాట్ ఐఎమ్ ట్రైంగ్ టు సే ఇస్ దట్ సిలబస్ అనేది ఎవ్రీ 2 years మార్చుకోగలిగితే, అది కాంటెంపరీగా ఉండేటట్లయితే ద చైర్మన్ బోర్డ్ ఆఫ్ స్టడీస్ షుడ్ బి యాక్టివ్ and the teachers should be active. Syllabus should not be, syllabus preparation should not be the burden of chairman board of studies. Chairman board of ఎన్ని సబ్జెక్టులు వస్తాయి, ఎన్ని సబ్జెక్టులు నేర్చుకుంటాడు ఆయన? సిలబస్ తయారు చేసేటప్పుడు అందరూ చేయాలి కదా. కొంతమంది చేశారు సిలబస్లు మన డిపార్ట్మెంట్లో డిస్ట్రిబ్యూట్ చేసి. అంట్లోనే సిలబస్ తయారు చేసేటప్పుడు నేను చెప్పేది ఏంటంటే, అది కాంటెంపరీగా ఉండాలంటే ఎవ్రీ 2 years సిలబస్ మార్చాలి. And all the teachers should be involved, and they should try to look into the industry practices. If not best institute practices, industry exposure లేకపోతే బెస్ట్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్స్ లో ఏమవుతుందో అయ్యన్నా తీసుకోవచ్చు కదా.
ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
సిలబస్ ఒకటే మార్చడం కాదమ్మా, ఇంప్లిమెంటేషన్ కూడా ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఇష్యూ. మనం కేస్ స్టడీస్ తీసేసాం కదా, కేస్ స్టడీస్ అన్ని తీసేసాం కదా. మనం ఏమి ఇంపార్ట్ చేస్తున్నాం? ఓన్లీ నాలెడ్జ్. నాలెడ్జ్ తప్పితే మనం ఏమి ఇంపార్ట్ చేస్తున్నాం? మన స్టూడెంట్స్ ఏమైనా కమ్యూనికేషన్ స్కిల్స్ మనం ఇంప్రూవ్ చేసామా? వాళ్ళ యాటిట్యూడ్ మాడిఫై చేసామా? మధ్యాహ్నం క్లాస్ రప్పిస్తున్నారా మీరు స్టూడెంట్స్ ని?
ఏమో సార్, ఇప్పుడు నిన్న మండే నుండి
దేనికన్నా మ్యాథ్స్ లో తప్పితే ఎప్పుడన్నా వాళ్ళు రాత్రిపూట డిపార్ట్మెంట్ లో కంప్యూటర్ ల్యాబ్ ఉంటుంది, ఆడపోయి పని చేసుకోవచ్చు, చదువుకోవచ్చు అని చేస్తారా? అన్నీ ఏమిటంటే ప్రాక్టీసెస్. అయ్యా
గిరి, క్వెరీస్ ఉన్నాయా ఏమన్నా?
Hello.
Hello, Giri.
No queries, madam. No YouTube channel also.
ఉన్నాయా?
లేవు మేడం. యూట్యూబ్ లో కూడా ఏం లేవు మేడం.
ఏం లేవా? మరి ఇంకెవరైనా అడుగుతారా సార్ని?
They are posting YouTube live streaming అవుతున్నా సార్ ప్రజెంట్ మన ప్రోగ్రామ్.
Number of students joined for YouTube తెలుసా?
ఏమంటారమ్మా?
గుడ్ ఆఫ్టర్నూన్ సార్.
ఆడెవడో హాస్టల్ ఓపెన్ డేట్ అడుగుతున్నాడమ్మా మేము స్క్రీన్ మీద.
నేను దిద్దలే సార్, ఒక్క పేపర్ కూడా రాలేదు సార్. హలో గిరి,
మేడం
కంక్లూడ్ చేద్దామా? ఉన్నాయా క్వెరీస్?
లేవు మేడం. యూట్యూబ్ లో 48 మెంబర్స్.
ఓకేనా మరి?
ఓకే
సార్. గుడ్ ఆఫ్టర్నూన్ సార్. దిస్ ఇస్ నవకిరణ్.
హలో.
ఎస్ చెప్పండి సార్. గుడ్ ఆఫ్టర్నూన్ సార్. దిస్ ఇస్ నవకిరణ్. సార్, I can, as of now we can see that only PGDM is getting more valued. Just before you have explained all the things, why MBA is not getting valued and what are the things that we have to do. I'm so thankful for that. Sir, I can see that most of these schools are doing a now value creating, connecting with the corporates, like publishing monthly magazines in their websites and connecting with the corporates and making industry explore with the students. So why can't it be possible with our students, sir? And we will be very happy